Hi guys, what's going on? Today we are going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, all things FNAF related that happened 2023. I think I said 2020 earlier. That was my mistake. Uh, and let's get into it. The reason why you guys are seeing like me talk about FNAF, but like you're watching Nostalgia Critic, is because I just wanted something on the background um that wasn't like FNAF uh, content because I don't know if Steel or Scott or Click Team will like take that down if I had that playing in the background. So I just figured Nostalgia Critic was like a better choice because he also always all he's all about the 80s. So and FNAF does usually take place in the 80s. So we're gonna talk about a lot about FNAF and stuff like that. And basically, let's just get into it. So, what's happened so far with Five Nights at Freddy's? Uh, the movie came out. It was amazing. It was fun. It was funny. It was cute. It was charming. It was scary at some points. Balloon Boy, I'm looking at you. And it was very interesting to see the movie finally come out after waiting since 2015 for the original movie to come out, back when it was at Warner Brothers. Um, and then again in 2017 when Scott went to Blumhouse to do the movie, and waiting for several years for the movie to finally start production and everything to see the animatronics fully realized. I'm so glad that we got to see the movie and it came out and it's doing very well at the box office. If you guys hear chewing, that's because I'm eating right now at the same time. So I want to like talk about this and eat as I do this. So let's continue. um, the movie. Let's talk about the plot. I like that they incorporated the first game, a little bit of the second game, and the Silver Eyes book, and they went in their own unique way for all three of those plot details. If you don't know what I'm talking about, um, excuse, let me take a little breather for a second. Um, okay, so for Five Nights at Freddy's, um, the movie, basically the plot goes Michael Schmidt. I was gonna say Michael Atham, but he's not Michael Atham in the movies. Michael Schmidt or Mike Schmidt um, is a guy in his 20s, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who has a 10-year-old little sister? Again, correct me if I'm wrong with the ages. Um, and they're basically living by themselves because their mom and dad have passed away. The dad, a lot of people are saying that he's still alive and he may have just been an absent father. But knowing the FNAF universe and the franchise for as long as I have, since 2014, and paying attention to very specific details that Scott likes to leave behind about parents in the FNAF universe, they're usually dead or could be absent, but mostly dead. Most likely dead. Um. Anyway, so Mike gets a job working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which we see in the movie trailers. And he ends up spending 5 nights at Freddy's, like the movie title implies. And he basically learns about the backstory of the children going missing and possessing the animatronics. Um, he also learns about William Afton, who in the movie goes by a fake name of Steve Raglan, a career counselor. Now, the reason why he's a career counselor named Steve Raglan is because he went into hiding. Even though the movie doesn't explicitly state this, if you read the books, like the Silver Eyes trilogy, which is Silver Eyes, Twisted Ones and Fourth Closet, you would know that he went to hiding and came back and was in a different disguise identity and continued his life in a new career path. Hence, why he's a career counselor in this movie. It's a different career path for him. Um, but the thing is that stayed the same from the books in the movie and possibly the games because the games don't really explain it. I mean, not explain it. They don't really go into detail about it, but it could happen, and I think it does happen. William comes back after killing the kids and going to hiding. Comes back with a new name, a new disguise, and is probably killing more kids. We don't really know because the movie shows in the first couple of minutes, like the first 2 minutes maybe max, um, the night guard, originally before Mike, dies by the animatronics. So we know night guards are dying, adults, but we don't know if children are still dying because we only know about Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy existing as robots, animatronics with souls. Um, anyway, so after a whole learning about the animatronics coming to life and seeing them in action come to life, um, Mike and his sister Abby ended up befriending the animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. And it's a very cute montage. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, this isn't FNAF. FNAF wouldn't do this," or "This is too kiddie," or "This is too childlike," or "Too friendly," or "Too whatever." But I would say I love this scene because I figured, oh, that makes so much sense in context of the FNAF world, not the game, but the universe itself, where the kids possessing the animatronics build a fort with Mike and Abby and Vanessa, who we will talk about later. Vanessa, for real quick, if you guys don't know, she's a police officer, and that's as far as I'm going to go. We're going to talk about her later on, but right now we're going to talk about the story. Anyways, so the animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, decide they want to build a fort, and it's a cute montage with them, Abby, Mike, and Vanessa. And the reason why they did it, in my opinion, and as Doc has pointed out, and a lot of other people who love the movie have pointed out, it's because the kids are possessing the animatronics. The animatronics are possessed by the souls of dead children. And what would children do? Build forts. They would build Legos, constructions. They would make pictures with crayons and stuff. So it's a lot of stuff that they would do that will look goofy to you as a diehard horror fan, but like if you know FNAF and you've like read the books and watched the games or played the games or watched game theory or whatever, you would know that the core foundation of FNAF is dead children possess animatronics. So even though they're killers, because of their programming, they are still possessed by children who will act like children because they don't know any better. They don't know what they're doing is wrong when they kill people. They just do it because they see people like adults as bad people that would hurt them, like William Afton. But, seeing that scene where they build the fort and Bonnie falls over and gives a thumbs up and they're all laying down looking at the ceiling of the restaurant, it's cute because, yeah, that's what kids would do. Even if they're possessing giant robots, they would do that still. So I gave that a pass and not really was angry about it, as most people would be. Um, so later on in the movie, we find out, well, not later on, well, kind of early on throughout the movie, we meet this character named Aunt Jane, who I really wish Blumhouse and Scott and Emma, Tammy, and all the writers, or whoever helped with the writing, Seth Cuddeback and or Kudeback or however you say his last name. I'm sorry because a lot of people say it differently. Um, I really wish they took that Aunt Jane subplot out of the story because it really didn't add anything, in my opinion. And a lot of other people have started talking about it, but not really into detail. So in the movie, there's this character named Aunt Jane who is Mike and Abby's aunt, and she basically wants to take custody of Abby because she believes that Mike isn't suitable enough to take care of Abby because he's young, he's in his 20s, he's tired, he's working, he's taking sleeping pills to help him with his tragic passing of his younger brother. Spoiler alert. Well, not really, because they kind of spoiled that earlier in the thing, but that's a whole another thing. Anyways, but yeah, so there's this whole subplot where she's trying to take custody of Abby and trying to get Mike fired from Freddy Fazbear's, or just lose his job, lose his house, all that stuff. She keeps threatening to take him to court, and I just really didn't like this character, and I know that's what they were going for, but it was just like, this is about Five Nights at Freddy's, not Five Nights at Freddy's Law Division. You know what I mean? It's like if you were to make this a FNAF movie, the main plot that the movie went for is perfectperfectly fine. It's not the best plot, it's not the best script, it's not, top tier quality line. No, it doesn't need to be because it's fine. It's the first Five Nights at Freddy's film. It just has to be a good first impression, and to me, it is. It's like this is the universe that God wants to tell his story in, not over convoluted with the lore from the books or the other games post FNAF 3, all of that. It's just this is the story in the movie's universe. This is how it's gonna happen. This is how it's playing out. This is what he wants, and we have to go on the ride for it. And I'm all for it. But this Aunt Jane wanting to take custody of Abby subplot was just so forced. I don't know if that made sense to anybody, but like it just didn't need to be there because you could have instead of like focusing on this character and her storyline and trying to tie her into the franchise or the film, excuse me. Um, you could have focused on like William Afton and like the missing kids, or as Kat Connor Sterling mentioned in her Instagram, or think it was TikTok post, her cutscenes that you guys, left out of the movie. Because if you guys remember, the movie was rumored to be 3 hours long before we got the final runtime. So, to me, in my opinion, I would have preferred to see the 3 hour long cut and see how much of what they took out really affected the movie. Because if you ask me, if we got to see the 3 hour cut, like let's say FNAF fans, like certain YouTubers or whatever, like Dawko, Raz, all of them got to see the 3 hour cut. And they were told to do two options. You have option A, you have the 1 hour, 50-minute movie runtime, or you have the 3 hour runtime. But the guys, meaning the YouTubers and all of them, MatPat, all of them, they had to all collectively agree on what scenes should be kept and what scenes should be kept out. And I guarantee you, a lot of them would have said, cut the Aunt Jane thing out because we didn't need it. If you told me that there's a subplot that has nothing to do with the movie, that doesn't really fit well with the movie, doesn't really fit the tone, doesn't fit anything, it just is like screeching halt to tell this side of the story that really doesn't affect anything, I think I would have cut it out. I would have gone back to the drawing board, quote unquote, and been like, okay, well, take the Aunt Jane subplot out. Let's put in the missing children scene. Let's put in why William Afton is crazy. Let's put in um Garrett being kidnapped properly, like not the flashback dream sequence. Let's actually see what happened. Let's see what the license plate is, if there was one. All that stuff. Let's find out like more about the night guard that died in the beginning of the movie. Let's see the bite 87 or 83, whichever one. Have Fredbear in the movie instead of Golden Freddy. Even though they're technically the same person, but still, or same animatronic, excuse me. But still, it's like there's so many things you guys could have done instead of that subplot that would have better fitted the movie and made it a lot better. But that's just my opinion. That's some fans' opinions. Scott doesn't have to listen to our opinions. He can just do whatever he wants. But at the same time, look at what the franchise has become because of that. Like, Sister Location. Even though I love that game, still has problems. Um, Security Breach, big one. And yeah. But anyways, as we go on in the movie, we find out later on, like towards the ending of the movie, uh, that William Afton has a daughter named uh, Vanessa. And Vanessa is the police officer that I mentioned earlier. And what's crazy is Vanessa knows and knew about William's killings of the kids, which is crazy because first of all, they don't build up that like tension, rivalry, or whatever that movies and TV shows usually do with that kind of plot point detail. Plot device. There you go. Usually you see like if that's mentioned, well, not mentioned, but like if that's confirmed, like oh, Vanessa is William Afton's daughter, there would be like a scene in the movie where like you get like Vanessa older, and then William now as an old man, and you kind of have like them cross paths almost, or like barely seeing each other. Like William leaves the scene, and then Vanessa comes in, and she's like, "Oh, don't talk to that guy. He's a problem. He's kind of weirdo. He's kind of like bizarre or whatever." And you kind of get this like weird feeling, like, oh, she knows him, but like she's not really explaining a lot. Like, why would she call him weird? Why would she say stay away from him? It's like you need to build that into the film as the foundation for Vanessa's reveal later on, but they didn't do that. They just went, bam, she's Vanessa Afton, William Afton's daughter, and she knew about the murders of the kids. She was friends with the kids, and that was it. Which I kind of like and I kind of don't like. I kind of like that they are like, okay, yeah, Afton would have a kid that would be friends with the missing kids. And that's kind of the theory of the games is that Michael Afton's friends from the FNAF 4 minigame, if Foxy Bro is Michael Afton, which a lot of people agree he is, those kids that were wearing the Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica mask were the missing children incident victims. And like those were the kids that would end up possessing the animatronics and stuff like that. And that makes sense in the games. It makes sense in the film too, because like that it's something from the games put in the movie that works. But the problem is Vanessa doesn't have enough screen time to really have that connection stick well for the audience. You know what I mean? Like Michael, you can believe like, oh well, we see him since like the opening. Well, not really opening, but like after the first kill. we see Michael and we get to experience his life through his eyes. We wake up with him. We see him get ready to go to work. We see him talking to Abby. We see him go to work and all this stuff. And we see him get his job at Freddy Fazbear's. So we see all of those things, and we have that emotional connection with Michael because, or with Mike, excuse me, because we know him, we see him, we experiencing everything he's experiencing. We're questioning things like he is. So for that to not have the same amount with Vanessa and her reveal and everything about her, it's kind of like a wasted opportunity because you could be like, you could have done so much with that. Like the movie has a weird problem with what it wants to tell and what it's trying to tell and what it's showing and what it doesn't want to show. You know how people always say show don't tell? The movie has a problem with that, basically. Um the movie cuts a lot to a dream sequence slash flashback where Mike, excuse me, gotta get used to calling that. Give me 1 second. Mhm. Okay, there it is. Yeah, as I was saying, the movie has a problem where it keeps cutting back to the flashback slash dream sequence of Mike losing his brother Garrett to William Afton years ago, like back in the 80s. I think before around the same time the missing kids happened. They don't really explain it, they don't really confirm it, they don't really do anything about it. You just go, Garrett's missing, the kids end up missing, that's it. That's all you need to know. We don't know if it was before, after, or the same time. It just they all went missing, and that's it. Um, I wish they didn't go back to that scene so many times because the first time it's like, oh, okay, now we see what happened. Now we know what happened. Okay. The second time we learn his name is Garrett. We learn that he was kidnapped, and Mike feels bad for not stopping it or trying to stop it or figure out like doing more to like help his brother and get him back and everything. He feels guilty about that. The third time they go back, he interacts with the kids and he's like, "Tell me like who took my brother? Tell me what's going on. Tell me what happened. Who are you kids? Where am I? Like what's going on?" and all that stuff. And I kind of feel like that should have been the second flashback. If it's not, if I correct me if I'm wrong, that was the second one. But I think it was the third time they went back to that scene. But it should have been like the first time. It should have been, "Hey, where am I? What's going on? What is this?" He sees Garrett. He freaks out. He's like, "Oh God, I remember. It's my brother. Gotta go run after him." Garrett, like all that. But they don't really do that. They just keep it repeating, repeating, repeating. And you kind of like just get tired of it. And I don't want to say like it's terrible, but it's like again, there's so much stuff because FNAF is almost 10 years old now. There's like 10 years worth of stuff that they could have picked and choose from the games and built a proper story out of. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's so easy because FNAF is easy to like pick apart and pick and choose what goes where in the film and what should work in the script and what doesn't work or in the film, whatever. But when it comes to like the missing kids, the Bite of 87, 83, Purple Guy, William Afton, all that, it kind of gives you a generalized idea in the games and the books. Like this is what happened, this is canon, and this is like what happened. This is true. Scott confirms it. It's his word, and like we can't change anything about it because that's what happened. Like for instance, the missing kids went missing in 1985. The books talk about it. They mentioned it. The first book was The Silver Eyes that first confirmed it. It took place in 1995, I believe, and they said it happened 10 years ago, which was 1985. The sequel takes place in 1986, and the third one takes place in 1987. So kind of have a timeline there. The Fazbear Frights books also mention that it's 1985 when the missing kids incident happens. So like that's the canon through line is missing kids happen 1985 from the books, but in the games we never know what the year is for that incident. Although we can agree or assume that it has to be 1985 because the books say it, so it should be. But, like, again, the books I mean, not the books, the movie doesn't really bother doing that, and it's kind of frustrating because you kind of, like, wanna know, like, where we are in the timeline of, like not really the games or the books, but, like, for the movie because they say the movie takes place in the year 2000, and we see that, and they Emma Tammy, she even said, "Oh, we flash back between the '80s and the '90s because she and Scott, and I think Jason Blum as well, and maybe Seth. I'm not sure if he was involved in that statement, but she said specifically that they want to flash back between to the '80s and '90s, and because she and Scott really loved how those type of horror movies were told and seen and explored and whatever during those time periods, and they set the movie in the early 2000s. In the year 2000, excuse me. Uh, so I kind of wish they explored more about the missing kids, more about the '80s, more about the '90s, how it affected the Freddy Fazbear franchise, and like what could happen in the future. Because we don't really get a sense of like in the games. Oh, okay. Freddy. Okay. This is hard to explain because the games, from my memory of the first game, phone calls, and the second one, it's kind of fuzzy, but I'm trying to remember correctly. FNAF one, I don't think they mentioned another location. I think it was FNAF two that mentioned Fredbear's Family Diner, and that was it. That was the only other location we knew of ever. Like we never knew there was like a new restaurant. We never knew there was like an older restaurant. We just knew FNAF 2 was supposedly new and approved, and there was a Fredbear's location somewhere out there. That was it. That's all I remember from FNAF 2. I don't think FNAF 1 did it, but my problem is again, the movie doesn't really explain if Freddy's is one location or several, like the rest of the games do. Because like the rest of the games, there's Freddy's, there's Fredbear's, there's Circus Babies, there's Chica's Party World, there's all these other locations that are associated with that franchise, Freddy Fazbear, Pizza, whatever. You know that there's multiple restaurants running around the world, all over, right? But the movie only focuses on one place, and William Afton even says, "Oh, this place was huge in the '80s, and the only reason they're not getting rid of it is because the guy who owned it was, a sentimental dude. He's not ready to let it go." But does that mean that the movie's saying that there's only one Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location in the entire universe, like entire world? There's only one Freddy Fazbear's Pizza place. Or are they just not? Because I guess they are really sticking to the book. I mean, the movie. I mean, the game, the first game, because we didn't know. But like, That's the first game. Like, you can excuse that because, like, Scott really didn't plan out a trilogy. He didn't really plan out a franchise. He just made one game, made some references, and made up stories, and then that was it. We didn't know until FNAF 2 came out that there was a Fredbear's location, and then FNAF 3, we got the horror attraction. FNAF 4 was whatever FNAF 4 is, and it's just a location happened. And then Pizzeria Simulator happened, and we know Pizzaplex happened, and we know there's multiple Pizzaplexes from the books. But my point is, the first game had an excuse for not mentioning multiple locations. That's fine, but the movie doesn't because we all know that Fazbear Entertainment would milk the shit out of the Fazbear Entertainment name, Freddy Fazbear, and have multiple locations running around. So the for the movie to not mention that there's multiple locations, they don't need to like have people like say like, "Oh, well, you're only at the Utah location. You should come to the New York location." I'm not saying they should do that. What would have been cool is if there was like a map or like a GPS thing or something where we could see that there's multiple locations of Freddy Fazbear's pizzeria places, whatever you would call it, um, all over the United States, maybe all over the world, who knows? But it would have been really cool to see that and been like, oh, okay, so now we know like these locations exist and we can like guess which one is gonna be the sequel location, FNAF 2, or um as well as FNAF 3, which one could be the horror attraction, you know? But they didn't really do that, and I don't think I hate it. It's a weird thing to not include. Anyways, so gonna talk about William Afton. Oh boy, excuse me. Uh, Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard. Jesus Christ, my nose is so clogged because I'm sick. I can't like really say certain words, but I'm gonna try my best. Um, Matthew Lillard. That dude is amazing. And whatever role he's given, whether it's Shaggy from Scooby Doo, whether it's Stu from Scream, even though it was like one film he appeared in, but like this dude just cannot stop being amazing. And like I think it was today or yesterday, I think it was yesterday. I saw him post on Instagram for the first time ever, because I don't think I ever saw him post on Instagram before. I don't think he ever used social media before. Um, he was thanking the fans. He was giving thanks to all the fans for supporting the movie and coming out to see him and loving his performance and everything. I 100% agree. He was amazing as William Afton. My only problems with it was, and it's nothing to do with Matthew. Matt, if you're listening to this, Matthew Lillard, if you're listening to this, please don't get mad. This has nothing to do with you. It's the directing slash writing choice. Well, okay, it's the writing choice, but I'm not going to blame directing. Uh, I don't know why they didn't have you do a British accent, because if you ask me, it would have worked a little bit for the perform. I don't know. I like the performance a lot, but I'm like so used to hearing William Afton with that British voice, from Sister Location's opening scene to Pizzeria Simulator to um well, not Help Wanted because he wasn't really in there. And Security Bridge replaced him. Special Delivery. That's the old one. Yeah. So hearing his voices in like three games and like building a comfortability with that voice. Like you associate that voice with that character. Um, t- I know it's like a different interpretation. It's a different universe and blah 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 blah. But like, not everything has changed when you're translating from like a game or book to like live action movie adaptation. In my opinion, like look at the Spider-Man stuff. Spider-Man, he's a kid from Queens. He always will be. He always has been. Peter Parker, um, being from Queens, he's always been a kid that got bitten by a spider, that got spider powers, that climbs walls, that shoots webs. But there's certain aspects of the character that they do change. Like in the Sam Raimi films, he shoots organic webs. In the other films, he shoots mechanical webs. But that's what I'm saying. It's like that's something so small that you can change and it doesn't really matter. But like something that's iconic, like William Afton's voice with the accent, with the way he talks, with that "I always come back" or "I oh." Well, I can't do it because my nose is killing me right now. But I would do it properly. But like you know what I mean? Like, listen, look up William Afton. I always come back from like Sister Location, Pizzeria Simulator, Special Delivery, whatever. He talks with that British accent, and it's intimidating. It's scary. It's chilling. It's bone, spine tingling numbness that makes you like, oh shit, this is a real threat. Like this guy is a real fucking threat, and you never want to hear this guy talk to you because you're just like, this is a creep. No matter what, through and out, William Afton is a creep. But what I do appreciate about Matthew Lillard's interpretation of William Afton, it's kind of like Scott decided to revisionize history, kind of in a way, because we never heard William speak in the books. We only heard him speak in the games, and the book came out before Sister Location. Um, so we never really heard William speak before Sister Location came out. So I guess Scott was like, "Well, I want to go back and kind of give him a regular voice that's kind of still intimidating, but like it doesn't need that accent. You know what I mean?" So, because I think even Scott mentioned that like the accent wasn't intentional or something like that, but like they just did the British accent because it worked better or sounded better, something like that. I can't remember. It's been years, but I do like Matthew Lillard's performance and portrayal as William Afton. I like that he was like Mike Schmidt. He like stops, pauses, looks at Mike, looks back at the last name, and then he's like, Schmidt, you're the guy of the young kid that I killed. Excuse me, all those years ago. And I really like that because I was like, oh wow, he's fast. He's a fast like observer and learner and all that stuff. So that's cool. But I did like that he did it so uh blatantly. I kind of wish it was more subtle. And it's nothing again, it's nothing against Matthew Lillard. It's probably directing, maybe writing. I don't know how would you describe it? Because it could be both. It could be directing, it could be writing. And again, I'm not bashing Emma Tammy. I'm not saying she's a terrible director or anything like that. I'm just saying it's just like there's certain things that you would like. To me personally, I would have like done it more subtle. It's like because the way he acts when he finds out Mike's last name, it's kind of like it's odd. It's very odd. It's very suspicious, and it's weird that Mike doesn't follow up on it. But he's like, Mike Schmidt, he stops himself when he says Schmidt, and he looks at the last name, he looks at Mike, gets the like the realization of who he is, and he gets up. He's like, "Would you like some coffee, Mike? Yeah, like, let me tell you something, Mike. Like, because of what you've done in the past, and now it's like your choices of getting a new job and getting help are kind of slim and blah blah blah." He's like very frantic and like almost, I don't want to say panicky, but like twitchy in a way, kind of panicky, but it's like weird. But it's like I don't, I don't, I don't know how to explain this. And I think I'm gonna leave this up to the other YouTubers like Right Toast, Johnny Blocks, John from FNAF, Matt Pat, Doco, all of them. In my opinion, William Afton should never be panicky post the 80s. And the reason why is because this is a guy that is a known serial killer. Yeah, he's not really known yet, timeline wise, because like the books are weird. Books are weird. Let me just get into that. One of the books, I think it was like the Silver Eyes. They confirmed that the police officer whose son's friend is friends with the main character of the book, he goes, "Yeah, we know who the murderer is. We got him. We arrested him. We knew it was him. Like everybody in the town knew it was him because it was obvious, but like we couldn't like arrest him or keep him in jail because we couldn't find the bodies of the kids. So they like let him go." To me, that's confidence. That's like, this is a guy that's like, people know he's a killer, but he's in control of those people. They can say whatever they want and be like, "Oh, we know he did it," but they don't have evidence. They don't have evidence. There's no knife. There's no gun. There's nothing. They just know, like, oh, but you just know he did it because, like, look at him. And that's the kind of thing I wish the movie did. Is like you look at this guy, you're like, oh yeah, he did it. But it's that one scene where he's like panicky, fidgety, he's twitchy, he's like, "Oh Mike, would you like some cup? Your options of finding a job are kind of slim, dude, because your anger, your attitude, uh it's just weird that he's like playful-ish. It's a weird because he's not Springtrap, he's not William Afton, Spring Bonnie at least, he's just a guy, he's Steve Raglan, and he's letting his old personality slip out when he really shouldn't, because, like, even though you can say, "Oh, well, the book did that," the book, again, like I said, it's about subtleness. Like, in the book, he controls the animatronics with the other protagonists of the book, because he used to work at Freddy's or Fredbear's or whatever, so he has that knowledge. But he's playing a security guard slash night guard. Well, not night guard, I guess security guard technically. So you would kind of assume that this older guy would kind of know how this thing worked back in the day. But again, it's subtle, and even though the main character, she's like, "Oh, there's something off about this guy," her, like, assumption of, like, this guy being weird is, like, kind of pushed aside a little bit, like, as she's, you write her as, like, maybe she's being a little paranoid, but you kind of like, as a reader, you agree with her, like, it's kinda weird, right? Where the movie should have done the same thing, where it's like, this guy is weird, Mike should have caught on to that, but then, like, somebody else would have been like, "Oh, no, dude, you're just being a little paranoid," whatever, but they don't really do that. Um, the ending of the film features the spring lock malfunction from the Silver Eyes books, and it's a good scene. I don't have any complaints about it. My only issue, and it's not a complaint, it's just a small issue that I'll get over, and I already have, is when William says, I always come back. And his breakdown towards the animatronics turning on him, it's such a weird scene because you're like, he calls them beasts, he calls them like savages, he said they're worse than he is or whatever. It's a whole rant he has. And then he gets the string lock suits and malfunction on him because of the cupcake. And then he's like, I always come back. Now, if you ask me, and a bunch of other YouTubers, and FNAF fans, and the FNAF YouTubers, the scene could have been a little bit better if it made more sense. Because we never saw anything with William that implied that he always comes back or whatever. There is no emotional weight to his death in a way. Because you're like, oh yeah, he's dead now. Great. Okay, we know he's gonna be Springtrap in the sequels like the books do. But there's nothing with him in the movie that's like substantial. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we know he killed Garrett, Mike's younger brother. We know he is the reason why Mike's mom killed herself. We know he's the reason why the kids went missing and possessed the animatronics. And we know he's Vanessa's dad. But there's so much about him we don't know. We don't know why he decided to be a career counselor. We don't know why he chose the name Steve Raglan, even though it could be a random generated name. Still don't know why. We still don't know like why he killed the kids. We still don't know why he left Freddy's open. Why he hires night guards to look after the place and kill them. We don't know why he wanted Vanessa to kill people when they hired new security guards. Like it just there's no substantial weight to it. It just this happens and then oh well. Hope for the sequel to explain it. And it's like, yeah, but like it that that would be fine back in 2014, 16, 17, like that middle age of the franchise, you know? But like we're nearly 10 years into this franchise. We shouldn't have to have that kind of story, in my opinion, because again, it's an hour and 50-minute movie. We don't have that much time to have it wasted with stuff like, the Aunt Jane subplot, for example. Um, and I kind of wish that there was more involved in the movie. I wish there was more stuff they could have done. Um, I wish there was stuff they could have done differently, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers, and that's just what it is. Anyways, so let's get into uh what do I want to talk about? Let's talk about security breach. Yeah. Okay. So security breach. Everybody knows about security breach. What happened with that? If you don't know, just look up what happened to FNAF security breach. And people will tell you all about it. My problem with security breach is that, well, A, it happened. B, the glitches. C, the patches for the glitches. D, the save stations. E, the story. F, the characters. And G, how it ties into everything else. I'm not going to go into details about the characters, the endings, or anything like that. Everybody's made videos about that. I'm not going to do that. Excuse me. I think what I'm going to do is just talk about what they could have done better and what they should have done since the game came out, but they never did because they were working on the DLC. I think if they were not to scrap the whole game, they should have been more open and honest. I don't know why they had to hide a lot, especially from the fans for like years, for like a few years, but like it was just really weird. Like maybe I guess it's NDAs, but like there has to be a legal reason for what happened. Um, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, basically Steelwool and Scott were making Security Breach, and the game was supposed to be just your regular Five Nights at Freddy's game, but like with a bigger budget, better graphics on consoles, and um, s- uh, I don't think it was supposed to be mobile. I don't think the game was mobile, right? Yeah, this was a mobile port. But it was just supposed to be on consoles with better graphics, better details, first characters to actually see like human characters like Vanessa, Gregory, and a new villain and like new location and like all this other stuff, right? But what happened was the game got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And even Scott said, well, the game was supposed to be like your starter cake. But then Steelwool was like adding more layers to the cake, and it was like really, really big, and that they were like it was still raw in the middle, and it was like uneven cooking, and all this metaphors and analogies and stuff, and it kind of pissed me off because I was like, Scott, this is a first of all, this is your franchise. I don't know why you giving us analogies and metaphors. You shouldn't, because this is like again, this is like almost 10 years of franchise. We should not be doing stuff like back in the day when the first few games were coming out. You can be clear cut and front forward facing with us. Like we're grown adults at this point. Like a lot of FNAF fans that grew up with FNAF when it first came out are like now adults, or young teenagers, mid teenagers, or early, late teens into early 20s or whatever. So like a lot of us grew up with FNAF when it first came out back in 2014. So I think Scott should be able to be front forward facing with us and be like, "Hey guys, um, the game's being delayed significantly. It's not scrapped, but it is getting delayed. We have to rework it because what it was becoming wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I think anybody wanted in the franchise, the fan base. and it's not where I think it should go. And I think that would have been a lot better because it's got getting to the point of the problem, telling us, hey, the game is not going well, but we're working on it. We're going to double down. We're going to fix it up. We're going to make it the best game possible for you guys. And it's going to be amazing when it comes out, when it needs to come out. It shouldn't have had a deadline. It should not have had um, anything that was like, hey, this game is coming out very, very soon, release date wise, whatever. It should have been delayed, delayed, delayed because, as a lot of people said, a delayed product is better than a lazy, unfinished product. And like a lot of things I've played that were delayed or not delayed, and just came out and were like crap, you can see it. Like, look at Marvel's Avengers, the video game. That was crap. It was delayed, I think, and it came out and it was just garbage. You know, uh, Security Breach. It was delayed a lot of times. It came out. It's garbage, but it looks good though. Sometimes, um, but I excuse it because I do like the story. I do like Vanessa as a character. Very different from the Vanessa from the movies, obviously. Sorta, kinda. But I do like the story with her. I do like the story with Gregory. I don't like Gregory as a character, but I do like his story. It's interesting. Um, I like Funtime, not Funtime. God damn it, Glamrock Freddy. Funtime Freddy's a whole different character from Sister Location, but I do like Glamrock Freddy. I do like the Blob, and yes, I will be calling it the Blob for the rest of my life. I will not be calling it the Tangled, because that's such a stupid name, in my opinion. I like the Blob. It sounds better because that's what it is, a blob. Um, I kind of like the Glam Rocks, but not really. Like Roxy, I love how I give props to Steel Wool for this. They make you hate Roxy so much in FNAF Security Breach main game. But when Security Breach Ruined, the DLC came out, they made everybody love uh, Roxy and Wolf. And that's big props to them because you made one of the most hated characters that would have been like the top 10 most hated characters ever in FNAF, probably. And you redeemed them like with like that for a DLC that wasn't as long as the main game, but it was like it really worked. Like I felt bad. Like me and my cousin were playing the game when it came out, the DLC, and we both were like, "Oh my god, we are going to cry over Roxy." Because of how emotional they made her story in the DLC be compared to the main security breach story. So very big props to Steel Wool, very good job. But I wish that whoever worked, and I've said this before, I don't know if I said this before, maybe I did do the video, I don't know. But I wish whoever I wish the whole team, everybody who worked on Security Breach Ruin had worked on Security Breach. And I wish whoever worked on Security Breach, the whole team of it, did not work on anything else again. Unless they can prove themselves with another DLC for Security Breach that isn't Ruin. Because it's crazy how Ruin was so beloved by fans. Even though you have people like was Fiznom, whatever his name is, that guy who was I think it was Fiznom, Phil Morg, the guy who was supposed to do FNAF Plus. Let me look that up real quick. look that up real quick. Hold on. Yeah, Fiznom, the guy who was supposed to do FNAF Plus. Yeah, that guy is a whole problem. But anyways, yeah, unlike Fiznom, who hated Security Breach Ruin and said it was a waste of his time and like that's an hour he's never gonna get back or whatever for streaming. Uh fuck him because nobody likes him now. No, the Security Breach Ruin was a great DLC. It was a great experience. It was a great game. It was very fun. I had a lot of fun. My only problem with the game was the little Music Man bunny ear things. Those were annoying and obnoxious, but other than that, everything else was perfectly fine and fun. Um, and very scary too. I was genuinely scared. That was wow. Um, but yeah, I really wish that the team that worked on Security Breach Ruin had worked on Security Breach and made it like scary and like fun, like Ruin was. And if they're the same team, I have to know what happened between Security Breach and Security Breach Ruin. Like somebody must have stepped up and went in charge and was like, "Hey, okay, Security Breach was shit. Yeah, okay, we gotta fix it. What do we do? Give me ideas. Come on, come on." Or hey, here's my ideas. Let's do this. Look at the whiteboard or whatever. Because there was a clear difference of leadership, creativity, and um, direction in Security Breach Room that wasn't there for Security Breach the main game. And I know that sounds mean, that sounds harsh or whatever, but like it's been what 2 years? We all shit on Security Breach. Who cares? Um, but I'm not saying like Security Breach is a horrible game. Not saying that at all, but it's not as good as the DLC is. Like the DLC is like wow. Uh, so anyways, let's skip the DLC. I'm not going to talk about it because that's been talked to death already. Let's talk about the books. Uh, Fazbear Frights. They were very fun. They were very creative. They're very different, very unique, very graphic, very detailed. Towards the later half of the series, early parts of the books weren't. I don't think they were that detailed and graphic. Whereas the later books were, they were like really leaning into like the detailed graphic horror and gore and all that grossness stuff. But I kind of liked that because at the time, especially as a FNAF fan, you were you were just so pissed about FNAF um, direction going on at the time because Security Breach was coming out. It didn't come out yet. It was like it was still we were like wondering what the hell's the racing when what's the next trailer, all that stuff. But during that time, a lot of like the merch was coming out, and the merch we're gonna talk about the merch really long time because that's a whole can of worms right there. But the merchandise for the FNAF franchise was aimed primarily at children, and it was really, really getting annoying and really, really bad, really fast. I know what you guys thinking, like, oh well, you're just sounding like Fiznom, like it's a whole is bad, blah blah blah. No, because I'm not like saying like they should never do that or like hate Scott or whatever or anything like that. I'm just saying like it should have been a balance between yes, FNAF can be for kids, but here's some stuff for like the true FNAF fans that like the dark stuff and like the horrifying jump scare aspects and stuff like that. Like we got like a lot of kid crap for FNAF fans that were like ridiculous. You had like FNAF Monopoly, you had FNAF Jump Scare Tabletop Game, you had um, a lot of clothing from Hot Topic, you had a lot of stickers, you had plushies that were like not really that good, you had squishy little thingies of FNAF characters. You had Lego pieces or something like that. It was just so much stuff that were like aimed for like little children. They were like, what is the point of all this for fans? Because I'm not gonna go out and buy like Freddy Fazbear themed kickball. What would I do that for? What's the point for that for me? You know what I mean? Whereas if you were to like go, hey, for that fans, here is like a plushy replica of Freddy's head or mask or whatever from FNAF 2 that when you boop its nose, it does make the boop noise, it's like that's something I would like to buy, because it's like it's something that speaks to all ages, but like not just specifically just children, you know what I mean? Like, oh, here's a replica of uh Freddy's microphone hat and bow tie that you can wear as a Halloween costume or keep on display or something, Like here's I don't know, something that would have been really cool that was aimed to all ages or adults, not just children. Ugh, I'm so sorry, guys. My nose is like really bothering me, so I am going to like make this quick as possible. I was supposed to do this for an hour and 50 minutes. I don't know. It's like 43 minutes now, so not saying the stream is 43 minutes. I mean, I have 43 minutes left, so I don't know how much I'm going to talk about it without my nose being a problem, but I'm going to try my hardest. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry, still eating. Haven't been able to eat because I was talking so much, but going back to eating. It's so hard to breathe out of your nose. Like, it is so difficult. I don't know how people do this. I don't even know how I'm doing this. I've been doing this for years and it's still annoying. Anyways, yeah, so Fazbear Frights, it's good. Second half is good. First half is okay. Anyways, Tales of the Pizza Plex. Tales of the Pizza Plex. Jesus Christ, dude. My tongue is all over the place because I'm sick. Great. Um. Anyways, those books so far, they're really okay at best. Some of them are really hitting the same beats as um Fazbear Frights did. Um, which I'm really, really proud of that they kept that kind of through line, but they're not all that detailed and graphic. They're just like some here and there, which is fine because there's only 8 books as opposed to like the 50 of the Fazbear Frights books. That's a joke. Ugh, excuse me. Uh, Fazbear, no, not Fazbear Frights. What's it called? Tales of okay, both of them, I guess. Both book franchises do. They do a lot of repeating. I don't know if you guys noticed that. There's a lot of stories that feel very similar to each other. There's like stories about older siblings being jealous of their younger siblings. There's a lot of stories about like parents divorced or parents not available in the family. There's a lot of stories about kids being abused, technically, but not really, because it's not really outwardly stated. It was like indirectly implied, I guess. But it's interesting. I'm not gonna complain about it. Um, Things I like are the epilogues for both of the books franchises. Tales has one of the best horrifying epilogues I've ever read in any book franchise ever. And Phasma Frights had an interesting but then batshit crazy epilogue ever, in my opinion. Um, the Stitch Wraith from Phasma Frights, excuse me, was like I said, it was interesting, but then went batshit crazy, and then it was like that's it. That's the end of it. Um, Tales from the Pizzaplex has one of the best epilogue stories I've ever read. Like I said, and it's so interesting. And I wish Fazbear Frights had done this, but they were like doing their own thing, so I guess not really. But uh, it's so hard to do when you're being sick. I'm so sorry, guys. But anyways, so the Mimic, if you guys don't know, hey, you guys should, because you know everybody's been talking about the Mimic since Security Retro came out, even before then. The Mimic is basically an endoskeleton that was created to watch a child and mimic its actions and be like its best friend slash babysitter while the child's dad was working for Fazbear Entertainment. Entertainment. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna end this stream soon. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm just gonna get this out and then I'm gonna end the stream. I'm so sorry. Um. Anyway, so the end. So what happened is the child ends up dying, and the robot ends up copying the kid's actions as if the kid was still alive, and it pisses off the dad. The dad infuses the robot with anger and agony and like all this remnant stuff. Maybe I don't know, because the franchise is always confusing, which is a good thing. Sarcasm again. Anyways, so the dad disappears. The animatronic gets picked up by Fazbear Entertainment, I think, and they make copies of it. And the original ends up killing a bunch of people that are construction workers, and it gets loose into the restaurant construction, which ends up being the Pizzaplex from Security Reach, and is the story that ties into as the prequel to Security Breach Ruin. Because there's a lot of stuff about Security Breach Ruin that ties into the Tales of the Pizzaplex epilogues of the Mimic. The Mimic. Jesus Christ. Anyways, so if you know Security Breach Ruins DLC, how that story goes out, you know about the Mimic, and all of that. What people don't know is there's this like cave. I want to call it the Cave of Wonders, borrowing that from Disney Aladdin. So Disney, if you hear me say Cave of Wonders, go fuck yourself because you're not gonna sue me for that. I'm just using it as a term for now because I'm very sick and I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Anyways, so in FNAF Security Breach Room, when you go underneath the Pizzaplex in the basement of the Pizzaplex, there's a Cave of Wonders that basically is just a big old cave, like underwater cave, where there's a bunch of water, waterfalls, glowing green mushrooms, and like rock formations. So if you don't know what that is, because a lot of people were like, "Whoa, what is this? I've never seen this before." You have seen it before if you read the fucking books, or looked at the graphic novels of the fucking books of the trilogy, the Silver Rush trilogy. And I'm saying that mainly, I'm sorry because my nose is really bothering me, and I want to like just freaking break my nose so I can stop. But it's like that's such a stupid idea. But I'm so sick. It's just like it's so frustrating. Anyways, so yeah, if you read the Silver Rush trilogy, you would know that Charlie finds the original Fredbear's or whatever it is underneath the mall in the books, which is similar to Security Breach Room's story, where the Pizza Plex is built inside of a mall in the franchise, or the Pizza Plex is a mall. I can't remember which it is. But anyways, what happens is, oh god, my nose is really bad right now. Okay, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. Um, anyways, yeah, that Cave of Wonders is the same as FNAF Silver Eyes book, where that is the story at the end, and the character gets chased by a version of William Afton that's not really William Afton, although technically for the Silver Eyes it is William Afton, but that's all other can of worms I'm not going to get into. Oh God. Anyways, you know what? Forget it. Just gonna just skip through it, guys. If you want to know more about FNAF and all that stuff, please go watch the movie on Peacock or in theaters. Please, please, please do. The movie's doing great, box office wise. Let me read the number real quick. That was reported recently. I have it saved. Hold on. Yeah, top video game movie opening weekends. FNAF is number two behind the Super Mario Bros. Movie that came out this year, or was it last year? I think it was this year. I can't remember. God damn it. But yeah, the FNAF movie is at $78 million for box office opening weekend, which is great because the movie deserves that. Um, so please go support it. Don't watch. I don't want to be mean and say don't watch this, don't watch that, but if you really want to help support FNAF moving forward and have like better production timing and you know cast like very high end superstar casting for the movies or the games or whatever, please go support the movie. And this is not a sponsorship. This is not endorsing. I'm just saying like this is just as a fan. Please go watch the movie in theaters. Don't bother with the Hunger Games. I know people like Hunger Games, but Rachel Zegler's in it. And she's a fucking bitch. I hate that bitch. So I'm gonna say fuck Rachel Zegler. Up yours, cunt. And yeah, don't bother watching Hunger Games. Go watch FNAF instead. Even if you don't like FNAF, just go watch it. You'll like what it is. It is for what it is. Sorry, I messed it up. You will like it for what it is. That's what I wanted to say. Um, so go like, the FNAF movie and go watch it. Even if you don't like it, just go watch it, please. I know it's crazy and like hyperbole, but whatever. I'm very sick right now, so I can't think straight for the life of me. But I do know I hate Rachel Zegler. That's a fact that will stay in the head the rest of my mind forever. I will hate that bitch no matter what. Um, don't watch the Marvels. I mean, if you like the MCU, I do like the MCU, but like Phase 5 is not doing well as I thought it would. But like so far, we're like still in the early stages of Phase 5, but it's like it's still not going strong. Loki season 2 is doing well, but I will be doing my review of episode 5 on Saturday. That was the video I was supposed to mention yesterday, but I completely forgot on the top of my head. But yes, I would do an episode 5 review of Loki for season 2 this weekend because I had to rewatch it. I really do because I don't know if I like you'll see it on Saturday. You'll know what I mean. Anyways, yeah, so please go watch the FNAF movie instead of the Marvels or Hunger Games, um, or whatever crap movie is coming out in the next month or so. Don't watch Aquaman 2. That movie's a train wreck. I just know it because of who is in it. Yeah, she's a problem, and she's also a bitch that I hate. So fuck you as well. You know who you are. Um, So yeah, if you want to watch a really good movie or a movie that's decent or well enough good time, go watch the FNAF movie. Do not watch the Hunger Games. Do not watch the Marvels, or do not watch Aquaman 2. That's just my opinion. Um, cannot wait for Steelwool to finally talk about Help Wanted 2 because they said that game was supposed to come out next month. They haven't really talked about it. They did a whole thing with PAX West, I think last month or 2 months ago. They still haven't done anything about it. Like no trailer, new trailer, no nothing. It's just that one reveal trailer back in September, I think, or maybe June or whatever it was. And then that was it. So I'm hoping Steelwool does something for Help Wanted 2. Okay, we can see what that's like. Maybe if I do like the trailers and like what I see, I might get a VR headset and play it for you guys live. But I don't know. I will have to think about it and see what it's like game wise. Other than that, guys, I'm so sorry. I might take a break from streaming. I was supposed to do a continuation stream for Spider Man, but I don't think I'm going to because I just my nose is fucking up and it's like it's really annoying and it's really a pain in my butt and I just can't take it anymore. So yeah. Other than that, guys, I'm so sorry for the stream. I'm so sorry for the way I've been talking because of my sickness. It's just like I know it's no excuse and you shouldn't blame your whatever situation you're in on anything, but like it's really annoying. If you guys know what it's like to have your nose feel like it's not there or whatever, it's so hard to describe off the top of my head because I feel so sick. But anyways, guys, I'm just gonna end the stream now. Thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, leave nice comments, and support the FNAF movie so we can get that movie to reach great high numbers for box office run and get more money for the sequels and future projects. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna go blow my nose and finish eating, and then I will see you guys in the next video, whatever that might be. Goodbye.